Cheat code. Support strategist. By clouds. My head in the clouds not coming down. On AO3. Chapter 55. Partnership. Shoto froze, literally, sending out enough ice to glue Shigaraki to the street as Ippur yowled, and hopped off his lap. Shigaraki was unfazed by Shoto's attacks. He just rolled his eyes and disintegrated the ice like it was no big deal, but didn't make any move to turn Shoto into dust, which was surprising. He leaned his head against the wall. Careful. Do that too often and you'll piss off the cat. I think she's more concerned about me staying alive, Shoto responded dryly. You're a villain. Shigaraki scoffed. Newbie. It's the middle of the night. I'm AFK right now, so honestly, I'm not sure much of anything. Shoto hesitantly warmed himself up a bit, melting some of the remaining ice. What do you mean? Shigaraki shrugged. You don't do boss fights on loading pages. Oh, Shoto said helplessly. Okay. Shigaraki shot him a look out of the corner of his eye. What? Have you never played a game before? My father literally just kicked me out. Do you think he'd allowed me to play video games? Shoto deadpanned. I was too busy training to be his masterpiece. Your dad sounds like a dick, Shigaraki said. But hey, at least the cat likes you. Shoto smiled and extended a hand towards Ippur, sighing when she hissed at him and turned away. If she ever forgives me for suddenly freezing her like that. I'm sorry, Ippur, I panicked. Ippur just flicked her tail, and Shoto huffed. Well, there goes another mother figure. I need to stop losing those. Shigaraki frowned. Your mom's not in the picture? Mental hospital. Shoto explained. He probably shouldn't be telling a villain all this, but Shigaraki was letting him stay in this murder alley, and he didn't seem like he was in the mood to kill at the moment, so he didn't want to be impolite. Besides, he'd said he wasn't a villain right now, whatever that meant. What about yours? No idea. Shigaraki scratched lightly at his neck. Don't remember much from when Sensei saved me. Ah yes, Shota drawled. The trauma. Shigaraki snorted. Like you're one to talk, Scar boy. How'd you get it anyways? Shinso raised an eyebrow. Did you miss the part where I said my mother's in a mental hospital? She? Shigaraki whistled. Whoa. I would have thought it was your old man. I don't blame him for it. Shota frowned himself, relaxing more and more in spite of himself. In every memory I have of my mother, she's crying. She called my left side unbearable, right before she poured boiling water on my face, all because I looked like him. Shigaraki obviously wasn't quite sure how to respond to that, so they sat in relative silence for a while, only speaking to try to get Ippur to come back and sit on Shota's lap. Eventually, they managed it, but only because Shoto practically made his body into a furnace as an apology. It felt good to use his left side after so long, especially for things like this. His father hated the cat, so of course, the cat got to benefit from the fire he'd stolen from the bastard. Served him right for being Father of the Year. I'm getting you some games, Shigaraki said suddenly. Shoto blinked. Why? Shigaraki grinned. Just trust me, okay? You'll like them. Izuku was only half listening to the chaos happening behind him as he brainstormed a list of ideas. But May was on a roll, so right now he was just letting her do her thing and keep an eye out to make sure she didn't accidentally blow up the entire school, especially since they're technically there after hours. half the school was probably fine, and Genium would be able to smooth things over with Power Loader. Hopefully. I do not think I am comfortable with a retractable knife. Tenya, as May insisted on calling him, since saying Ida for both brothers would bound to be confusing, looked politely overwhelmed as he tried to talk May out of adding yet another weapon. Izuku sighed. May-chan, Tenya's still recovering, and we also have the vigilantism charges to worry about. Why don't you see it as a personal challenge not to add any weapons? May pouted. But that's no fun. Oh, really? Izuku gave a mischievous grin. So, you don't want to see how many complete of first aid kits you could fit in? Or figure out how to make a grappling hook that doesn't just put a strain on his arm or body? Or experiment with different holographic projector systems so he can always have a map with the villain's location? Or. Fine, I get the idea, May said, turning to a new page in her notebook. Focus on rescue and support, not combat. I'm completely fine with weapons, Tensei interjected. Just for the record. May's eyes glinted with excitement. Then I'll give you twice as many. Have you considered whether you'll be fighting as a team? Izuku asked. I know that your sidekicks are already taking charge of running the Ida agency, but you're basically going to have to learn to fight all over again. So you're not going to be heading up the agency for a while. Sensei sighed. I know. I already told the team that I want them to just move on. I don't want them waiting on me indefinitely while I recover. If I recover. Well, you're not going to get your legs back, May said bluntly. But we're going to make this wheelchair baby the next big thing. Might be best to stick to the urban heroics, though. We're going to give you all the bells and whistles, but assuming that the most surfaces are paved with streamlines, the design process, and helping me make a better baby for you. The best thing to do, at least from the marketing standpoint, is actually for the two of you to enter the field together and work as a duo, Izuku said. Two brothers, injured by the same villain, who work together to overcome insurmountable odds and be heroes. It's a classic underdog narrative. People will love it. Ooh, we can market them as Cyborg Brothers. May pounced up and down, grabbing Izuku's arm. Bros. What sounds better? We can talk to the marketing department once they've trained a bit more with their new support items, Izuku interrupted. For now, we need to focus on changing their fighting styles to accommodate for their disabilities and to coordinate well as a hero duo, assuming you're okay with that plan. I trust that you are the experts, Tenya said seriously. Sensei shrugged. I'm down. I've always wanted to fight crime with my little bro. He reached up and tugged Tenya down to his level so he could ruffle his hair, and Tenya looked vaguely constipated, but accepting of his brother's affection. If these two could pull this off, they could open doors to hundreds of disabled kids that they thought couldn't be heroes. If a pair of brothers missing arm and a leg could be heroes, maybe even a Quirkless. Izuku shook his head and turned to his list, tapping his pencil on a few of the ideas he started next to. Tenya, you've experienced a lot of friction while using your quirk, right? Tenya nodded. Yes, it is unavoidable. However, I can run much faster than the average person, but you have to take a lot of steps, which slows you down. Izuku finishes. Have you considered rollerblades? It would match well with Tensei's wheelchair and would reduce the friction. You'll have to practice, of course. But wouldn't that be rather difficult? Tenya interrupted. What if I run into stairs? Or, well, I'm sure fighting on wheels is very different than what I'm used to. You're still young, Tensei encouraged. Give it a try. I mean, I'm gonna have to learn wheeling fight, too. We can do it together. Tenya took a deep breath and nodded decisively. I will attempt to incorporate it into my fighting style then, but do not put them in my hero costume quite yet. Of course not, Izuku grinned. Tensei, do you happen to know the pro hero Artis? Tensei frowned. We've crossed paths, but we don't really work together that frequently. No. Why? Izuku grabbed his phone and started texting Nezu. She uses roller skates in her fighting. I wanted to see if she'd be willing to train you. Hitoshi couldn't sleep, which wasn't that unusual. What was unusual was that he'd been given the permission to roam the house when that happened, and no one was going to think he was up to no good. It was surreal. He hesitated another moment before leaving his room and heading towards the kitchen. Aizawa was still up, too, apparently, just grabbing papers, and he barely glanced up when he heard Hitoshi come in. Are you going to make tea? Hitoshi nodded on instinct, then remembered he was actually allowed to talk here. Yeah, I was. Aizawa hummed. Make me one, too. Sure. Hitoshi grabbed the kettle. Will Mike want one, too? Aizawa glanced up at the clock. No, he's not going to be home for at least another hour, and that's if nothing weird happens at the station between then and now. He can make his own if he wants when he gets home. It still threw Hitoshi for a loop every time one of his adults answered his questions without hesitating. Usually it was Aizawa, but even Mike didn't think twice about answering him. He'd be lying if he didn't say it didn't feel amazing. It was almost as good as being around Mei and Izuku, so that was saying something. When he finished his tea, he set a cup down in front of Aizawa and sat down in one of his chairs. Should he go back to his room? Was Aizawa going to get annoyed with him for interrupting his work? Almost as if he realized Hitoshi's indecision, Aizawa started talking to him, most of his attention still on grading. How has Uraraka been doing? Has she been adjusting well to her new quirk? Yeah. Hitoshi thought that was a weird way of putting it, but it was a pretty accurate way of describing her new mutation. The earrings the kidnappers made her are working well, and I can stop her most of the time, but she's actually stopped herself a couple times now. And her accuracy is getting better, so that's promising. Good. Aizawa nodded. We'll be starting combat exercises again soon, and I don't want her to be at a disadvantage. Don't worry, she could handle herself, Hitoshi said. Do you, mind if I watch TV? Aizawa nodded absently. Just make sure the show isn't stupid. Shoto and Shigaraki, that is a duo I did not think I would be seeing much of. Obviously, but then after last chapter and then this chapter, I think that's something that we're going to be seeing quite a lot. They're just sitting talking, and it's very interesting. It is very interesting, and I wonder where this is going to go, right? I also love that Shigaraki's like, wow, your mom did? Damn, okay. And then it's just like, hey, let me introduce you to the wonderful world of video games. Motherfucker is probably like, yes, another person to play with. I also love that the fandom has really leaned into his whole gaming persona. Like, everybody views him like as a chronic gamer. Motherfucker, he's a gamer. Literally, it's canon. Nobody says, well, a lot of people do say boss fights, but nobody says it so much to the point where it's like, my dude, you are quite literally the definition of gamer, right? And, okay, I'm a little interested, and I really want to see, like, maybe them actually playing a game. Like, I don't want it to skip to, like, the end of them playing a game. No, I want to see it. Like, I want to see them play Mario Kart or something, you know? Also, I'm going to talk about Hitoshi and his home life. He's improving. He's healing. But, oh my god. It's heartbreaking to know that a lot of the times Hitoshi is like this in most fanfictions. And I'm glad that he finally has a place where he could feel safe. And also, I find it hilarious that, you know, Aizawa's just like, just don't put something stupid. Aizawa, you would hate everything I put on the TV because I love to watch the most shittiest shits. You know, I like to watch The Flash, the series, like the CW, was it? One? Whatever, the one that's on Netflix that has horrible CGI and horrible plot lines and whatever. It fills my heart. I've been watching that since I was a little kid. I love that shit. Is it good? No, it's not. It's The Flash from CW. It's not gonna be good. But do I love it and enjoy it? Yes, I do. Right? Aizawa would hate me. He'd be like, no, you cannot put anything on the TV after you put that shit. As I don't think I've mentioned before, but when it comes to literature, you know, like reading and stuff like that, specifically fan fictions and books, I am classy. And by classy, I mean I'm very picky on what I like and enjoy, and it's really hard for me to get into something. I'm trying to start this new Shindeku fanfic on my own, not podficking or anything like that, and it's getting a bit hard because I'm trying to get behind the writing style. The premise is interesting, so I'm sticking around, but I can get quite picky. So if I compliment an author for their writing style, or their story building, or their plot, or anything like that, like, best be sure I fucking mean it, right? Best be sure. Clouds being one of my favorite authors is not fanfic authors, is not like a small threat to be like, you know, oh, whatever. No, that is big. I think I actually might like Clouds a bit better than not real authors, but like book authors, right? Real authors. Fanfic authors are real authors, but like, you know, book authors. But yeah, as always, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Join our community Discord server, link is in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.